What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here with another episode of Unpopular Opinions. Sticking to Twitter this time. Got Simeon and John with me yet again. How you guys doing?
Part two.
How
you
two,
doing,
baby.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Part one
I
went
like
well,
that
so
first
yeah,
part.
I like the
really
first
juicy.
part.
Really juicy.
I want to get stuck into some more unpopular opinions. I'm ready.
All right. Number one is from Nabs Sloan, and that opinion is that us guys, or he's saying that you guys, are highly annoying a lot of the time.
I'm glad that's unpopular. I'm happy that's
I'm glad you
unpopular.
noticed. Thank you.
I don't think I'm surprised it's unpopular. I thought that was a popular opinion.
That's why I said to him. I actually tweeted
Yeah,
back
what
to him
did he-
saying that's actually a popular opinion.
Yeah,
Well, let us know what you guys think. Is that unpopular? Is it popular? I don't know. But
Thank you.
I think it's true. I think it's true anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I'd just lead with that one, a quick one. But the next one is from Sorojyak93, and it's about
Sorojyak.
Harry Kane. And he says Harry Kane is a bad leader on the pitch.
Bad leader on the pitch. I think he could be more vocal in my opinion, but I don't think he's a bad leader. I don't know if I haven't seen enough leadership from him, to be fair. But then again, Danny Rose says he's a great leader.
Yeah.
Danny Rose says he calls out their bullshit when he needs to.
That's what I saw.
I think different captains operate in different ways. I think you have like the very vocal coaches that sort of snap at everyone's heels and make sure they're kind of getting the best out of them. But I think you also get captains that lead by example. And I think Kane is someone, I don't know anymore, but I know that he was the first one on the training pitch, the last one to leave. I think Danny Rose mentioned that in his interviews. And I think that has an effect on the players around him. That has a sphere of influence just by being that kind of leader. I don't get the impression that he's massively vocal, on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he is. Maybe there's more vocal players than him, but I just think his overall aura and presence is also having an effect on the rest of the team. I think potentially I could agree with him in that Kane is quite a not a selfish player, but he is when it comes to being in front of goal. He's very,
I think a lot of good strikers
yeah,
are.
a lot are, but a Sheringham isn't, someone like that, you know what I mean? And I think that can sometimes maybe wind up some of the players. I don't know if I heard this through the grapevine, but I think I remember hearing that the players got a little bit frustrated that everything was going through Kane during a few games. I could be wrong on that one, and I can see that occurring, so I can imagine how that might be a little bit prickly amongst the players.
He doesn't seem that type of player when things aren't going right. He's going to grab you by the scruff of the neck and drag the whole team forward like a leader at the back would. That's the only thing I would say. But I think he does lead by example, Harry Kane. I think he leads
by example.
I think he is a leader.
Yeah, but like you said before
captain.
about Danny Rose, he came into that dressing room at half-time at Ajax and laid into all of them, and everyone knows what happened in that second half. So if that's not a leader, I don't know what is.
What, Danny Rose? Oh, when Kane came down. He did, didn't he? He came down, he bollocked everyone and said, come on, let's get this together. So
that's a leader for me.
No, he is a leader. I definitely think, and captain for England, wasn't he?
Yeah, still is.
Yeah, so obviously Gareth Southgate sees that in him as well. And if he wasn't, they wouldn't have even got him anywhere near the
captain England to their best World Cup since Italia '90. So
yeah. Exactly, yeah. So
I think he's a leader.
No, I think he is. I think he is a leader.
All right, next up from Varun 1906. We have the worst academy in the top 6. Besides Harry Kane, I can't name many top-class academy graduates where Man United constantly produce talent, Rashford, Greenwood, etc. Our overrated academy whose reputation has been enhanced by Harry Kane.
There's Kane and Winks at the moment. I know you don't like Winks, but I think he might have a point. Tanganga's coming through.
Well, we did a video last week about the last 20 academy graduates that played for Spurs. Who did we put? We put Danny Rose, who's not really...
Ledley King,
Danny Rose.
I think we've had 3
Harry
world-class
Kane.
academies. I'm going to mention 2, but I don't think we've had that many in that bracket who are real, world-class. And that's a shame. We've had a few top draws, but... I think there has been a little bit of a dearth of really good academy.
I think we don't use the academy enough. I think a lot of the times we let players slip by. We don't give them a fair crack at the whip in the first team. Yeah, and then we let them go on loan. And then I think the people think the gap between getting to the academy and having minutes in the first team is bigger than it is. I think, and I know, I think Man United with Rashford and Greenwood, they've been getting the minutes. And I know it's very early in Greenwood's days. He looks like a really good prospect. Obviously, Rashford's now one of the leading forwards in the Premier League. I just think we don't use the academy enough. And I think he's right in terms of in the top 6. Arsenal bring through a lot of young players at the moment. Chelsea got Hudson-Odoi, they got Reece James, Mason Mount. So their academies were going well for them. We should really be utilising it a lot more than we do.
Yeah, I think we've got players that look good coming through. Dennis Serkin, the fullback. We've brought players through, Ollie Skip, Troy Parrott, who's got a big reputation about him. Japhet Tanganga as well.
They're not making a real impact like in the other top six teams, though. They're not making a real impact on the team like they could be if they're getting more minutes.
Is that down to the academy, or is that down to the management of the first team squad?
It's probably, I don't know. It depends if they. It's hard. Obviously, I'm not in training. It's hard to know if they're actually good enough, and it's hard to put too much blame on. If I go, Pochettino should have played them all, maybe he'll come round to me and say, "Well, they weren't good enough to play the first team." What am I supposed to do? Rashford's more than good enough to be playing first team full for Man United and stuff like that. So. It's probably more to do with the management, but it's hard to know. I think they don't get the time, do they? Even the Carling Cup, they're all barely getting any minutes.
This is why I was saying my concern about Mourinho is just I'm concerned that he's not going to give as much of a shout to the younger players as a Poch did, and I think you're going to see that.
I think maybe he should have given more. I don't know if he gave that much. I know obviously he brought in Harry Kane, Mason, Bentaleb, but Bentaleb and Mason were out of the team after a year or so, and after that I know he brought through Skip and Winks, but he didn't really use enough of them or gave them enough minutes. I don't think.
I think everyone talk about Mourinho bringing through the youth. I think at Spurs, I don't think they can use that argument just yet. He's brought Steven Bergwijn, 22 years old. Yeah. He's brought through Lo Celso brilliantly. Japhet Tanganga, he's given his chance to. Ollie Skip as well, he's given a few chances too. I think this whole thing about Mourinho and youth, I think it's a bit of a myth, to be honest.
Well, we'll see what happens over the next season or however long. But that's just a concern for me. Hopefully he does bleed it, but we'll know by the average age of the squad as well compared to the earlier.
And I think in these times as well, especially, we're definitely going to need the academy products a lot more. If we're not going to be able to be signing.
I think we're a start of a new cycle.
So we should be,
right. So it should be having sort of these kernels of new players in. You know what I mean, to blossom into something. And but I actually agree with that. I agree with that opinion.
I think I agree with it as well.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next one is from Ben Swart. We lost the Champions League final because Kane started.
I agree.
I know you agree with that.
Well, as soon as he did the lineup, I was punching the bloody wall when he did that. I was so angry that he played Kane because I was even saying before, Kane better not be in this team to start with. I was hoping that he'd be on the bench and then we could bring him on as an option. For me, Moura should have started that all day long. All day, he scored a bloody hat-trick and he doesn't even start. That was an absolute disgrace as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think that's why we lost.
And I also think that this is another reason why Kane is the leader. Kane should have had the maturity to say, guys, I haven't had any game time yet, so I'm actually going to sit out for I don't think I should be starting. I think he wanted it so badly. Even when we won the semi-final, you could see him in the video. He was going, yes, I get to play now. I could see it in his face. Yes, I get to play. Not like, the team's going to do it. It was like, my chance now. And I think that's the wrong attitude. I think his attitude should be on the team first, not him. And I think that's a Kane and a Poch thing. I think Kane should have been a lot more transparent. Said, look, yes, I feel like I'm okay. I think he probably was lying a little bit. But he should have said, but I haven't had any game time. And I think Poch should have played him, kept him on the bench for at least half time and brought him on as a second option. I
think my brothers alluded to this in previous videos or someone did, I can't remember who, but I don't think that was the issue. I think Dele Alli, he hadn't had a good game for a long time before that Champions League final, and I think he's the one that should have dropped out. I think it was right to play Harry Kane. I genuinely do.
You think?
Yeah, I think it was right.
He had no game time.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can't not play your talisman, your guy who gets you over 30 goals a season in the Champions League final. And even if he is, I think he was 80 to 90% fit. You can't. It's impossible for us to say how fit he was.
Well, we got to that Champions League final without him, though.
Yeah.
Right. So how was that possible?
I mean, it happened. It happened.
Exactly.
But you're damned if you do. If you're damned if you don't. If Harry Kane,
you can't blame it on that decision.
No, but I think that we had got to that final without playing Harry Kane, and we'd got that far by making the team, building it around him, as in him not being in that team. So to then put him in for the final, was almost undermining the efforts of the other players, I think, and the kind of the cohesiveness that had been created. And I just think,
but if you're Madrid, or you're going to drop Ronaldo, we're going to rest Ronaldo for that game. If you're Barca, you Messi for that game, and if they're not,
I think
even if they had an injury,
I don't think you
can
put him in the Ronaldo and Messi.
For us, he is though. That's for Spurs. That's what he is.
But then you could say that about a Sheffield United and their top striker. I just think that I think it was definitely the wrong decision to do it. But look, if we start the game without him, half-time, it's 0-0. You bring him on, as a second option. But I think the problem is, and here's the crux of it all, by starting Kane, you have no option to bring him off, right? Because Poch is never going to bring Kane off. Kane would not have that, right? Agreed?
Yeah.
So that means you've only got one option. But if you start him on the bench and you start playing Mora, then you've got two options, because then you can bring Kane on if it doesn't work. So now you've created a double option. But starting Kane, you've only got one option. And that's actually how the game panned out.
The opinion was, did we lose because of that decision?
I think, do you know what? We will never know. We'll never know. But in my heart, I think we'd have won that game without him. Starting.
I think
in my heart. I know.
So why did we lose that game?
You'll never know. You'll never know.
I think it's from that bloody penalty after 20 seconds, and that was it.
Yeah, but still, a penalty after 20 seconds should not lose you the game.
Yes, it does. In the Champions League final against the best defence in the league, I think that loses you the game.
No, I think
when you give the best defence in the league a 1-0 head start after 20 seconds in such a big occasion, 100% that screws your head, and that can cost you 100%. And we were the better team throughout the game, and and without that early goal, which Liverpool would have had to sit back on and protect, I think it would have been a different game.
Do you think we would have gone on and won the game if we don't concede that penalty?
I was hard for me to say we would have won the game. I think, but we would have definitely had a much better.
Competed.
It would have been. I think it would have gone to extra time. It probably would have gone to penalties or something if that happened. Because Liverpool weren't on it.
Let's be honest. If we'd have scored in the first minute, I don't think we'd have held on to that lead. That's just the difference between Liverpool. But
yeah, that's probably true.
But
we weren't the best defence in the league.
I think that's an unpopular opinion, but I think it's a very good one.
All right, let's move on. Spurs 10-20. Harry Kane, another one on Harry Kane. Harry Kane is comfortably the best striker to ever wear the shirt.
That's an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
Why is that unpopular?
Yeah, I don't.
So no, because you compare him to Jimmy Greaves.
He's not as good as Jimmy Greaves.
No, he's probably not as good as Jimmy.
Well, there you go. Unpopular opinion then.
Yeah, I think he's probably not as good as Jimmy, but I think. Well, you rate Klinsmann ahead of him, don't you?
I think so. But then I would say, if we're looking at in terms of longevity and service and loyalty and everything else he brought to the team, I can see that argument. If we're just talking about peak performance, for me, Klinsmann had it all, But I don't think that's that unpopular to say that, because he's given us so much. He lives and breathes Spurs as well. So yeah, you've got to take into account as well. Whether or not he's the best, yeah, it's not that unpopular. I can see that. I can see that. But I do also see that he peaked in around 2016, 2017. I don't think he's maybe going to get that back, personally, even if the team starts performing well. So,
I mean, he's got age on his. He's got time on his side still.
Might do.
I think he's had a lot of injury, and I think he's got a lot of miles on the clock already. Like Rooney sort of peaked early, and then he sort of faded out. I think it could be a little bit.
He
like
didn't
that.
peak too early, Kane. He peaked he only broke into the team at like 21, 22. Yeah, so it wasn't 22. That year. It wasn't that early.
But I get the impression with Kane that his body's is going to take its toll on the body. I can already see him slowing down a little bit. Whereas Shearer, when he was sort of this age, he was really peaking at that point. But I think Kane's peak has come like a few years ago. 2016, 17.
Maybe I'm undecided whether that's due to a team thing or a Kane thing.
He peaked for me, Chelsea game, like the 5-3.
Yeah.
Like those, if you look, like the first goal, when he's sort of he was unplayable back
then.
He was unplayable. I don't think it's very rare to. I can't remember the last time Kane won a game on his own, like out of nothing scored. You know what I mean? He's now scoring goals which he feel like he should score. But back then, in that Chelsea game, for instance,
he used to make goals for himself.
He would just that first goal where players were just bouncing off, and he was taking it wide angle here and then shooting in the opposite corner. That for me was he was totally unplayable back then. So for me, I see a little bit of a change in Kane, but still, I think he's not that unpopular. He's not that unpopular. I think that's a very.
All right, next from Sudaman, and this is about David Ginola. David Ginola was overrated. He was a wonderful footballer to watch and occasionally scored spectacular goals. But as a luxury player, he scored too few, didn't assist enough, and often overcomplicated his play and finishing to look good rather than be effective. And no top club wanted him. Going to start with you, John, on this one.
Well,
More your era.
1999, Man United win the treble, okay? And they're talking about Scholes. Scholes is the best midfielder
Giggs.
ever. Oh, Scholes. Oh, Giggs. Oh, Beckham. Oh. Oh, Roy Keane. Oh, I'm going to tell you what, Roy Keane gets into any Premiership side. You've got all these... Schmeichel, best goalkeeper ever. Who wins Player of the
It's
Year?
funny you don't do that in a Manc accent.
Who wins Player of the Year? Football Writers Player of the Year.
David
It's
Ginola.
David Ginola. In a team that wasn't really that, let's be honest, that good, you know, in terms of league. Where did we finish in the league that year?
Oh, very low. Very low.
Very low?
Yeah.
So you tell me, how is that possible?
But how many goals did he actually score that year?
I'm going on to the stats now to look at it. But what year was that? 99. 88. 98 to 99.
Yeah.
He only scored 3 league goals that season.
3 league
He was
goals.
actually
3.
He was...
And he got Player of the Year. How
Hang
good
on.
were these goals? Bloody hell.
No, but he was joint top goal scorer the year before with Klinsmann.
No,
What, for Spurs?
he got 6 league goals the year before.
No,
How
he
the
got
hell
9.
did he win Player of
He
the
got
Year
9.
with 3
No, he got
league
9
goals?
total.
That's
All
what I'm saying.
comps,
Yeah,
all
that's what I mean.
comps.
All comps, he was joint top goal
How many,
scorer with
but
Klinsmann.
we
All
won the
comps,
league.
9 goals.
I guess
No, but do you know how bad we were?
Did he win
I
the
know,
league? Did he
I
win?
know
Was
that
he very
season.
instrumental in our League Cup run? Maybe.
It was the
Well, we won
FA
it.
Cup
We
run,
won
wasn't it?
We won the League Cup. that
Yeah,
year.
he was instrumental in the League Cup
No,
run,
he-
and he was also instrumental in the FA Cup run, which we lost in the semi-final.
When he was peaking, he's another one that was virtually unplayable. Even the Leeds goal where he nearly scores. Leeds were top of the table back then, and he just weaves his way through them like a knife through
I'm
butter.
sure he was a great player, but to win Player of the Year with 3 league goals is a bit
It was
much.
7 goals in all comps, so he
7
scored.
goals in a whole competition. He won Player of the Year.
He scored 3 goals in
Mate,
30 games.
You don't know, man. You weren't there. You don't know.
I've seen his goals. Clearly he's a very good player. But,
Just a good
clearly,
player.
but he was an exceptional
Timmy, you're
player.
breaking my heart, man. You're
But
breaking
what
my
is
heart.
this? I'm shocked.
Ginola was my boyhood hero. Yeah, complete
was
boyhood
genius,
hero because of the
absolute
genius
genius.
he was doing on the pitch. But to win Player of the Year actually with these stats is actually shocking.
As a winger.
But this is the problem with just looking at stats. Is just
How many
like,
assists? Maybe you got like
No,
25 assists or
Simi's
something.
like
insane.
loves his stats, but you know, football it goes way beyond stats. When you watch Ginola, you could see that he was an enigma. He was a genius. He picks up the ball in his own half, and everyone around me were all standing up.
Yeah.
Now you tell me how many players would have created that effect?
Aaron
Spurs
Lennon.
or any other team? Who?
Aaron Lennon, maybe.
In
Gareth.
his own half.
Gareth
We're talking
Bale.
about.
Gareth Bell.
He would pick up the ball, but I don't think everyone
Lennon
would
made me stand up. Are
They
you
would.
mad? Of course he did.
Lennon did as well.
When Lennon took on a fullback,
No,
he
we're
stood
talking. No,
up.
but I'm saying in your own half against 11 men.
I would say Bale. Bale.
Well, we've already had this conversation. Bale and Ginola are the ones that.
And now,
X
maybe
factor
Sonny.
players. No, I don't think he has. He no way has the same at the Ginola when he picks up the ball. I mean,
Ginola had that X factor.
He had that X factor about him. He could win a game on his own.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
what,
think
3
you can-
games? Because
There's three
3 games a season.
Unfortunately, I'm not old enough to remember. I was watching games at the time with Hoddle, but I'm not old enough to remember it. So, but for me, there's 3 players that could win a game on their own: Paul Gascoigne, Gareth Bale, and David Ginola could win a game on their own.
The one
Those
thing I would say in Gino's defence is probably the shower of shit he was playing with. To win 3 games by himself was probably
Exactly.
a massive achievement.
Well, yeah,
Because
look,
he was surrounded by
he
such
scored 3
awful-
goals in the league in 30 games, but he also scored 3 goals in the FA Cup in 6 games that season, and his FA Cup goals were absolutely insane. I remember that one against Leeds,
Barnsley.
that one against Barnsley, obviously. Both of them stand out big time, don't
He
they?
didn't have a very good game in the League Cup final, you know.
Yeah.
But
But he had 3 Leicester players on him all the time.
But I would say that season he drove us through the cup games. You know, a bit like Gaza did
Enough
in
to
91.
get Player of the Year.
A bit like Gaza did in 91. Yeah, he definitely
I'm shocked.
did.
He can't believe we got Player of the Year with 3 league goals. I can't believe that.
Oh, Sim,
No,
you
I
and your
can't
stats,
believe
man.
it. That would
Right,
not happen
I'm gonna
nowadays.
do like
It wouldn't happen.
I'm going to do like a Clockwork Orange, where I'm going to get you in a room and like have your eyeballs like open like that, and I'm just going to play like every game. You know,
I wouldn't
like,
mind
Ginola
that.
played in
I
the
don't mind.
Sun
Look,
Knights.
obviously he's got a good highlights reel. It's just I'm a shot. That wouldn't happen now. It just wouldn't happen.
What do you guys think? Who are old enough to remember David Ginola? Give him hell in the comments
I
section.
remember people at White Hart Lane in the stands, every time Ginola would come up to them, they would just be like this, just bowing down to him. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I mean, he's godlike for me, you know.
Anyway.
But do you think it's because of how good he was, or because how shit everyone was around him?
Well, I would say that it was the perfect platform for David Ginola in that team because it propelled him to being the focal point of the team. Whereas I think if he'd have gone to a team like Man United, he would have become like a bit of a brick in the wall. I mean, I've actually got some theories about Rooney, how I think that a lot of his individualism has been killed by going to Man United because when he was at Everton, he was a lot more of a kind of... you know, he was a lot more pronounced in what he was doing. He had a bit more attitude about him, you know, picking fights.
Well, he did. He went to United at 18 or 19.
Yes, he did. You know, won everything at Man United. But I actually think that sometimes when a player goes to, let's say, no disrespect to Spurs, but a smaller club, like a Berbatov is a perfect example, right? He's like got that godlike status. He can really be the artist. But when you go to a Real Madrid, a Man United, you become more of a brick in the wall.
Gareth Bale.
Yeah, like a Gareth Bale.
Yes,
they become
that's why they win titles.
And I think it really helped that David Ginola was at Spurs, because he could really just be that like crazy Gaelic artist.
But you know, Poch has been trying to drill into it for us for so long. It's not an individual. No one person is bigger than the club. You know what I mean? It's a team effort.
Yeah, and he knew that as well, but he was able to shine, is what I'm saying. You know, he was really able to be that focal point. And maybe he might not have done that well under Poch because he's not that disciplined. He likes to smoke and drink, you know, whatever. But at the time, I mean, no, he was spectacular. I think he's my third favourite of all time.
All right, let's end that one there. That was your second episode of the Twitter Unpopular Opinions. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts, if you agree with the opinions, if you disagree with the opinions. Let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.